Okay, YouTube. All right, so Anthony here with Fiorenzo Brothers Sewer and Drain. So I'm making this video actually based off of a comment that I received on one of my previous videos that talks about upselling. So in this sense, upselling, it really comes down to a lot of it is where you're working and honestly, just every job is situational. So it all depends on, what it comes down to, what you're there for. So one of the biggest things for me is my price book. I mean, I'm not gonna dig down into it and base everything off of, I'm not gonna put my price book out there, and I'm not gonna throw any other kind of companies under the bus. But one thing that factors into my pricing is my access. So I'm a full advocate of telling everyone to take the extra 10, 15 minutes to look through everything at the job before you dive right into it. Now, this comes down to something as small as a kitchen sink. So, first thing I look for, obviously, is I find out what underneath the kitchen sink looks like. Is it an old galvanized P-trap? Is it something that I'm going to be able to safely take apart and be able to put it back together without having leaks? That's one thing to factor in. Another thing, what type of house is it? I'll ask the customer, can I go take a look down into the basement? Sometimes there might be another clean out that's in the basement, so that way you don't have to take apart everything underneath the sink. All of these all come into play, and same thing with sewer lines. Sewer lines, do I have to go down to a basement? Do I need to go down into a crawl space? Do I have a clean out access that it is backed up to the point outside? If there's first things first, if I see a clean out in the front yard, I'm opening that clean out with a pair of channel locks before I even get to the front door. I open up that clean out and I look down at the base. Is it holding water? Am I going to open this and is sewage going to come out? Is this going to be my point of access where I'm going to be able to work from? If not, then I have to go downstairs, obviously, into the basement. Once I go inside, I also take a look into the front of the house. Do I see a fresh air vent for a house trap? That can kind of put that in my mindset. Like, okay, is the clog in the house trap? Is the clog more localized? A lot of it comes down to, I mean, anyone that's been doing plumbing long enough or drain cleaning enough, you know to run the fixtures in the house. If you flush the toilet, is it coming up out of the shower? If I run sink water for 15, 20 seconds, is it going to start bubbling in the toilet? So, first things first is centralize where the issue is. Second, figure out what you need to do. For me, it's going to cost another, $50 to possibly $100 if I'm pulling and resetting a toilet as opposed to opening a clean out access in the basement. Am I going to be spending 15, 20 minutes? Do I have to cut open an old brass cap because I don't have, any of the new plug twister adapters for my drill? And sometimes even if you do have those, they don't always work. So am I going to have to cut open a cap? Am I going to have to replace a cap? All of these should go into effect when you're going out and pricing the job. So that's always my first thing. My first recommendation is always going to be take the extra 10, 15 minutes to look through the whole house. Is it on a slab? Does it have a crawl space? If it does, can you fit in the crawl space with your machine to be able to snake the sewer line? Those all come into play. And another thing, all right, so I'm going to try to stay on each topic there. So those are all the factors that I weigh in on pricing out my jobs. The next biggest thing is what are you doing for your service? That's going to also help you predict what you're going to charge. Are you just going in there? Are you running a snake, clearing the line, and leaving? Me, myself, it's just me. I'm just a one-man shop. So for me, I'm okay with spending that extra time there. But if you're working for a bigger company or if you own a bigger company, Obviously, you have to track how long your techs are spending at these calls. Budget yourself, allow yourself that time. Me, since it's just me, I price out, and sometimes my prices might sound higher, but that's because I allow myself that time. So if jobs go to shit, which they very easily can be in this trade, I budget myself for the extra time and material for something I might need. Another thing is my calls, I never leave without video inspecting a line. A whole part of my service and why my prices are a little higher than, your average handyman that might go rent a snake from Home Depot or something, or somebody that has their drains or their drain machines, but they might just unclog it and leave. My sewer camera, I clear the line. Once the line's not holding water and it's not charged anymore, then I put my sewer camera in and I find out what's wrong with it. Because some places offer warranties, other places may not. But when I camera the line, since I know what's going on in the pipe, I can explain to the customer, I can't warranty this because you have root intrusion in your pipe. Or, I need to give you a price for a sewer repair because you have a collapsed sewer line. But, you have this much space in the pipe, so water is still able to drain. But as soon as you get a decent flush with a fair amount of toilet paper, it'll clog up again. These are all things that go into your service, and that's the reason why, let's say if some guy that rents a machine or just snakes the line and leave might charge you $200, I might charge, $350, $400 to snake it and then camera the line. That's where it works a little differently and where some of the techniques and strategies go into, where the strategies go into pricing everything out is what you offer in your service to set you apart from your competitors. That's just one technique I use. I tend to always video inspect. As far as the video inspections, I label it as a sneak peek, but I tell the customer, I'm like, okay, but if I'm right here and I'm going to obviously show you on the camera what's wrong, it's going to be a little more if you want a copy of the video for me to email to you, as opposed just to do a sneak peek to video the line in front of you so I can show you that I'm not, just blowing smoke at you and that there is something wrong with the pipe. So these are all strategies, that you use. And like I said, a lot of the pricing techniques can come down to what equipment you have. Another thing with finding leads for sewers, I don't use any kind of lead finders or generators or anything like that. I don't pay for advertising. I'm strictly social media, word of mouth, and networking. Those are the three things I use. Become aware of your local jurisdictions and any ordinances they may have. So one thing I deal with a lot of in my area is house traps. In the towns in my county, there's no ordinances in effect that require house traps. So when I come across them, I give repairs for taking them out. The reason I do this is it might not go directly under me, but I have a friend that owns his own company with his plumbing license, and I sub them out to him. Or I work with him for the day, and he'll cut me a check for finding the work and, doing the work with him. So it all comes down to really what you have. If you have a plumbing license, go all over that. Likewise in Jersey, just as how many towns have or don't have any ordinances, some do, where you do have to replace a house trap with the house trap. Just up to current code. You also have to watch out for sidewall vents to make sure that, if there is or isn't any, if the house trap is required or not. So those are some techniques I use as far as upselling. Another service that I offer, with having pressure washers is, I utilize flex shaft technology because you can use that in the sewer with the camera. So if I have root intrusion, bet yourself that I am upselling a flex shaft root cleaning service, where I can cut up the roots and flush them out with a high volume of water. rather than digging up a spot repair. There's many different techniques, and that's something I'll cover in a different video if there's more curiosity about that type of service. But that's what it comes down to. I think it's wise to always throw a sewer camera in the hole, whether there's a system to generate leads or whether it's just justifying the cost of your service. I think it's very easy for me to tell somebody that I might say, listen, I might not be the cheapest price you'll find, but make sure that the prices that you're getting from other companies, they're offering the same type of services. Can't compare apples to oranges. It has to be apples to apples. So that's basically what this video was covering. So if there's any more questions based off of that, feel free to send me a message. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if there's more questions, leave them in the comments. And I will always make a video that can kind of talk about what you were asking. So in regards to that question, I hope that kind of helps what you were asking about. And if there's anything I didn't cover, feel free. I'll post another video. There's no problem. I did have a longer video that I was planning on posting today, so I might just repost that later on with an update. But like I said, this video was really just in clarification about the upselling factor, and pricing for services.